And I thought it was noisy in Beis Yaakov. Wow. Baruch Hashem. It's really a treat to be here tonight. It sounds like you're all doing amazing, that's for sure. And it looks like you're doing amazing as well, Baruch Hashem. I just want to thank Recheli Amiri for helping to arrange tonight's SHIUR. I'm not sure how she knew that I was coming to Eretz Yisroel. She called me already a couple of months ago to ask if I was coming. And she put this together, and to Rachel Horowitz for opening up her brother's house. And to Mrs. Horowitz for opening your house. And I have to give a very big appreciation. Usually when we do this, the other years that I've come, it's always in one of the seminaries, and it's a travel and a bus ride or a car ride or a cab ride. I'm literally staying right behind this building over here, so this is a machaya. So thank you very, very much. There's a famous ma'aser that I'm sure all of you know with the Vilna Gaon when he was on his deathbed. His Talmidim that were standing around him, they felt that the Vilna Gaon was not so excited to be leaving this world. A man who had spent his entire life learning and learning and learning, being mechadish all the chidushim in the world. All of the Torah that we have in Klal Yisrael today is the Masorah through the Vilna Gaon. He had Malachim that came to learn with him. He had the Neshamas of the Avos HaKadoshim. He pushed them all away. He said, no, whatever I'm going to accomplish is my own hard work. And he learned and he uncovered all the deepest secrets of the Torah. So you would imagine that someone like this who reached such high heights in his lifetime, he knew that when he's going to leave this world, he's going to end up in Olam Haba, sitting underneath the Kisei HaKavod together with the Ribbono Shel Olam. His Talmidim thought that they would see a certain sense of simcha on his face. But they saw that the Vilna Gaon was not happy to be leaving this world. And so they said to him, Rebbe, you, the Vilna Gaon, who accomplished so much and learned so much and did so much for Klal Yisrael, you certainly have a huge portion waiting in the world to come. Why are you not excited about that, about the reward that you're going to receive? And the Vilna Gaon at that moment picked up his tzitzis and he said the following words. For a few kopecks in this world, you could be mekayim the mitzvah deraisa of tzitzis. In that world over there, you can't be mekayim any more mitzvahs. You can't grow any more. And for that, I'm sad that I'm leaving this world behind. The Vilna Gaon understood that the secret of life is a person that is steiging, that is growing, that is taking advantage of the opportunities that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has put in front of them. A life of mitzvahs, a life of midos, a life of overcoming nisyonos, a life of growing in their Yiddishkeit, in their relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is what life is all about. And therefore, when he was about to leave this world and he realized it's all coming to an end, whatever I accomplish, I accomplish. Whatever I don't. The Vilna Gaon was in tsar, he was in anguish, that he's not going to have the chance to grow any more in this world. The very same Vilna Gaon had a very strong tshuka, a strong desire. It's not to translate into English, and now you're seasoned veterans in Eretz Yisroel. All your yeshivas, I'm sure they speak very yeshivish language. We'll still translate. If you don't understand, just raise your hand. The Vilna Gaon had a burning desire to go to Eretz Yisroel, and he tried twice, at least in his life, to go to Eretz Yisroel and move there, and eventually would bring his family with him. But both times that he went, min hashemayim, he was shut down from his plans, and he wasn't able to go. But as he was leaving his home, he gave his wife and his mother and his children what has known famously as the Igeres Hagra, the letter of the Vilna Gaon, where he describes in there his journey to Eretz Yisroel, why he wants to go to Eretz Yisroel, and what he wants from his wife and his children to prepare themselves when they also will come. And he says over the following words, and he says like this, Va'ani toida lakel, I give thanks to Hashem. Noiseya la'eretz ha'kodesh, I'm traveling to the Holy Land. Sha'akol mitzapin liroisa, everybody desires to see the Holy Land. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to come to Eretz Yisroel. He davened so many hundreds of tefillos to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't let him in. And at least HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him a chance. He told him, just look out and shine your countenance, Moshe Rabbeinu, over all of the land of Eretz Yisrael with your ayin tova, the good eye that you have, that Klal Yisrael will succeed over there. The Vilna Gaon wanted to come, the Baal Shem Tov wanted to come, the Chavetz Chaim wanted to come. So many Gedolei Yisrael in the previous year wanted to come to this holy land. And they were not zeichen. And maybe 8 months ago, 6 months ago, you boarded an El Al flight. You, of course, complain the entire way that it's a bit squishy and it's a long journey and the food's not so good and I can't sleep and even with the melatonin, my melatonin didn't work. And you landed in Eretz HaKadosha. You landed in the Holy Land. And you are in a place, as the Vilna Gaon says, Sha'akol mitzapim liroisa. Everybody wants to see it. Everybody wants to be here. Why does everybody want to be here? Because as we know, the land of Eretz Yisroel is not like any other land in the world. There's a neshama in the land of Eretz Yisroel. There's a ruchnius, there's a kedusha, there's a tahara. There's a chizuk in mitzvahs, there's a chizuk in one's midos, there's a chizuk in davening that only exists in Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't exist in Los Angeles. It doesn't exist in Lakewood. It doesn't exist in Muncie. It doesn't exist in England, even in the Holy Gateshead. It doesn't exist only in Eretz Yisrael. Like the Gemara tells us, Kol Adar be'Eretz Yisrael, anyone who lives in Eretz Yisrael, doime ki sheyesh lo elokah, they are considered as if they have a God. However, kol adar b'chutz la'aretz, anyone who lives outside of Eretz Yisrael, doime ki mi she'ein lo elokah, it's as if they don't have a God. What does that mean? While you're here for the year, you have Hashem. When you go back at the end of the year, you don't have Hashem. And all your life you were living in Los Angeles without the Rebbeinu Shalom. Your parents brought you to LA, they raised you in such a place with no God. Here, if they would have raised you, you would have a God. What does that mean? I'm sure that all of you already at this point in your life, in 6 months in Eretz Yisrael, understand very well. The Kedusha, the Ruchnius, the purity. You look at the faces of the little children who never saw a billboard, they never got into a fancy car. They listen to Ishai Ribo all the time. You see in the mishpachas, I don't know how it works in the seminaries, the girls go to families you don't know for Shabbos. You go to people's homes where you can tell that they are living probably in what we would call poverty, and yet somehow their house is open to orchim, to guests. Somehow there's food that is on the table, but the simcha that exists around that table, the singing and the divrei Torah and the shalom bayis and the peace that is in the house, that's something that exists miyuchad, special, here in Eretz Yisrael. Here you can feel the Shechina. Here you can feel the Rebbeinu Shalom. Here there's hashkacha. Everywhere you walk in Eretz Yisrael, there's a hashkacha pratis. Doesn't exist in America. I went to daven yesterday morning, Nate's by the Kaisel. And the way that it usually works is, after davening is over, you go stand in that little section as it's going out the gate and people are getting dropped off. You chop a cab on the way back to where you want to go. And I walked over there and I'm waiting 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Very strange. No cabs are coming in. No one's getting dropped off. I waited 15 minutes. Not a single cab came through. And I see some Yidden walking, and they're walking out through a side of the gate, and they're walking outside onto the road. So, I'll walk. Maybe I'll catch a cab over there. And I start walking, and at a certain point, I thought maybe I'm getting lost. I lost track of other people. And I see the Arabs on one side. I see myself over here. I said, Rabbi Shalom, what is going on right now? Then I hear this guy with a very heavy New York accent talking on his telephone, on his cell phone. And he's talking, and he mentioned something about the pizza last night was so greasy, I'd rather have pizza up, whatever, from Lakewood, something like that. And I'm listening to this voice. I know this voice. I know this voice so well. I turn, I look at the person. I said, I know this person. He's looking at me. I look at him. Then I turn the other way because I'm making him nervous. But I'm looking, I know this person. And then he gets off of his phone. I said, Shalom Aleichem, Yerucham? He said, yeah. I said, Yerucham, blank, whatever you need. Yes. I said, Dovid Horowitz. I said, actually, oh, yes. Anyway, we go back a couple of years. One of my sons made a siyum in his restaurant over there in Lakewood, and we became very good friends. We just haven't spoken in a long time. Anyway, he gave me a ride back to where I had to go. Because in Eretz Yisroel, you take a wrong turn, but you take the right turn. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everywhere over here. In Los Angeles, you take a wrong turn, you take a wrong turn. That's how it works. Ein lo elokah, there's no God. It's not palpable, it's not here, it's not in the bones, not everywhere that you look. So you certainly know what Eretz Yisroel is all about. And you're already 6 months, I believe it's about 6 months, you're into your experience of your year in seminary. And some of you are already thinking to yourself, it's going so fast. It's going too quick. And some of you are thinking, it's going so slow. It's taking forever. They told me by Hanukkah I'm going to like my seminary, but it's now almost Tu B'Shvat, and I still don't like my seminary. But everybody came here to steig this year. Everybody came here to grow this year. And this is what you want to accomplish in the months ahead of you. To squeeze out as much as you possibly can from this incredible place. And how are we going to do that? There's a famous question that the Rambam asks based on these parshias. We find that there is a character by the name of Paroi, Harasha. And he ends up persecuting Klal Yisrael. He puts us into slavery. At the end of the day, he and his entire country get destroyed, down to the ground with all the makkahs, all the plagues. There is no Mitzrayim anymore to speak about. And the Rambam asks the following question. Why is it that Paro Rasha ends up getting punished for enslaving Klal Yisrael and destroying us and making our lives miserable? HaKadosh Baruch Hu already gave a nevuah to Avraham Avinu many hundreds of years before in the Brisbane of Basarim, who said that there will be a nation that's going to rise up against Klal Yisrael. It's going to enslave us 400 years. It's going to be miserable. It's going to be terrible. And eventually, don't worry, says Hashem, I will save you and take you out of that land. So Avraham already knew, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a nevuah. So there's no chiddush over it, there's no surprise, no secret that Avram, that Klal Yisrael is going to end up in place, Mitzrayim, that we're going to be enslaved. So Paro is just doing his job. He's the bad guy. We're the underdog. Hashem has to save us. Paro is going to be our enemy. He's going to try to do things against us. Hashem's going to rescue us. So what did he do wrong? He's doing his job as Paro is supposed to do his job. And says the Rambam, it doesn't say in the Bris Ben Abasarim who the enemy of Klal Yisrael is going to be. It doesn't say Paro and it doesn't say Mitzrayim. It says there will be a nation that you don't know that's going to rise up against you and is going to enslave you. But Paro HaRasha chose to be the Rasha. And he chose for his nation Mitzrayim to be the Egyptians that are going to come and do their evil deeds against Klal Yisrael. And says the Rambam, as a result of Paro using his Bechira for the wrong things and making big mistakes and doing terrible things, for that, Paro ends up getting punished. This takes us back a few years to 10th grade, where we learned elsewhere in the Rambam that when it comes to Bechira, nobody could ever say, I was forced into doing something. You do a mitzvah, you get rewarded because you chose to do the mitzvah. You do an avera, you get punished because you chose to do an avera. Paro chose to be Paro. He chose to enslave Klal Yisrael. He chose to make our lives miserable, and therefore he is guilty as charged and he is punished. The yesod of all of our lives, the yesod of all the growth that we're going to make, all of our success in Ruchnis depends on one thing and one thing only. It depends on how you're going to use your koyach ha-bechira. How you're going to decide to make decisions and choose right from wrong. How you're going to choose the right thing over the wrong thing. Bracha from the klala, toiv min hara. And Eretz Yisroel is a place, the Beis HaMikdash was called the Beis HaBechira. Always bothered me. Why is the Beis HaMikdash called the Beis HaBechira, the house of Bechira? Because when you live in a place where there's Hashem, when you're in a Beis HaMikdash where HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence is permeating every single corner, when it's clear to you what life is really all about, then you truly have Bechira in front of you. Your Bechira this year is on a different level. It's in a different place. You're able to see things. You're away from the beautiful streets of Los Angeles, California. If you would know what billboards are going on La Brea and Beverly right now, your hair would fall out. As you are growing in your Kedusha and your Ruchnius, LA is going down and down and down in its impurity. If you would see the people that are walking the streets of Los Angeles, as bad as it was last year before you came here, it's gotten so much worse. And the ruchais, the winds of Tumah that are in that place are terrible. And it's hard to make bechira decisions when you're living there. It's hard to make the right choice. But here, in a world where you're living with Hashem, here where there's none of those distractions, here, how many, what is it? Mr. Bagel, Sam's Bagel, what is this place called? What? Sam's, how many bagels can you eat in your seminary year? There's only so much distraction. But the main focus of this year is understanding what is Ruchnius, understanding what is your neshama, understanding what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from you, and how it is that you're going to grow and you're going to steig and you're going to elevate yourselves in those places. We just came a little bit off of Hanukkah. And Hanukkah, we know that according to the opinion of Beis Hillel, we light 1, 2, 3, we go up to 8. And the Gemara says, why do we do that? Because Mailin b'kodesh ve'ein moridin. I'll translate. Mailin b'kodesh, we go up in Kedusha, ve'ein moridin, we do not go down. Once you lit one candle, you lit another one, we're not going to go down. Shammai says 8, 7, 6, the big countdown. Beis Hillel says, no, we only go up. You're going up over here. You're mailin b'kodesh. You're going up in your kedusha, up in your holiness, up in your understanding of yourself, of what Torah Mitzvah is all about. And you got to keep going and soaring and growing to reach new levels that you're on. And when you do that on a daily basis, like the Chazal tell us, Hayoim la'asoisam u'lemachar lekabel schara. Today is the day to do. Tomorrow, in the future, olam haba, that is when you're going to receive your great reward. The reward of a young lady who takes advantage of a year in seminary is not long in coming. You're going to go on to the El Al flight, or maybe you'll be on Wizzo Air, one of the other airlines that will be running by that time. And you'll be coming home on the plane. And probably Mrs. Chaim will be on that ride, and she'll say, wow, you look like you're ready for a shidduch. The boy from Brisk is sitting in the back, and she's going to make the shidduch right there on the plane. You walk off the plane, there's a chuppah waiting. There it is, the chasana takes place. Anyone who dedicates their year in seminary to growing in their kedusha and growing in their ruchnius and growing in their Torah, you only have good things that are coming your way. You're going to have the right boy and the right family and the right circumstance and the right place. And if you love Eretz Yisroel, you'll make it back here for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 5 years. And then you'll end up in the mothership somewhere in Lakewood. But that's if you're growing. That's if you're steiging. That's if you're dreaming of becoming a better Jew. I assume that after 6 months in Eretz Yisroel, that everybody wants to be a better Jew. This is the times that we are living in. We don't have time anymore in the world for mediocre Jews. There's 16 million Jews that are in the world today. 14 million have no shaykhis to what it means to be a Jew. 14 million are reformed, conservative, reconstructionist, secular, disconnected, all together. There's 2 million Jews that fall within the realm of religious Judaism. Now, in the world of religious Judaism, there's a very, very big spectrum. You have all the way from the Shomer Shabbat modern Orthodox to the very, very Haredi and Bnei Brak and everything in between. How many of the Jews in the frum world do you think actually take their Yiddishkeit seriously? 2 million. How many do you think take it seriously? I wonder how many, I'm sure 99.9% of the girls in this room who sacrificed themselves to be here for the year in seminary and pushed themselves to come to a department tonight for an extra shiur, even though you just had midterms and finals and 35 papers you had to write. You thought you're coming for vacation. You're working harder over here than you are in Beis Yaakov. Now, if you didn't work hard in Beis Yaakov, I'm sure you're not working hard over here either. So we're here to grow. We're here to steig. We're here to raise ourselves up and to move in that right direction. And if we're from that small miyut, that small percentage of the Jews, of those 2 million that are taking our Yiddishkeit seriously, you are the ones that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts all of his money in the bank on. I have a Rebbe in Yeshiva, his name is Moshe Mintz. His brother is the famous Rabbi Mintz from Ura. And Rav Moshe Mintz is known as the tzaddik of Baltimore. A very, very chashiv, a special person. When Rabbi Ruda Mintz Atzal was nifter, the Rosh Hashiva, he didn't have any sons, he only had a daughter. He left in his tzava, in his will, that Rav Mintz should be the one that's going to say Kaddish for him. Even though he had a son-in-law who was a very, very chashiv, a Yid who became the Rosh Hashiva of Weinberg Zatzal, he left in his tzava that Rav Mintz should be the one to say Kaddish. Now, Rabbi Mintz is a very unique Talmud Chacham, extremely humble in his ways and his mannerisms. He walks always with his head hunched down like this. He barely ever looks up in front of him. And he just looks like the picture of humility that you would imagine in all the Sfarim and all of the Musa Sfarim. So he said one day, he told over this story in public to the entire yeshiva. He said one day he gets a tap on his shoulder. Rav Ruderman, the Rosh Yeshiva, wants to speak to him. And he was a young man at the time, and he walks over in his standard way like this. And Rav Ruderman said, Rav Moshe, he says, why do you always walk like this? He said, Moshe, why do you always walk like this? He said, Rambam says, look down, humble. He says, Moshe, how many Yidden are there in the world? I don't know, 15 million. Out of those 15 million Jews, how many do you think are frum? I don't know. So he said about 1 million. And he said, out of those million Jews, how many are B'nai Torah? I don't know. He said, maybe if you're lucky, 100,000. And he said, out of those 100,000, this goes back many years, how many are Talmidei Chachamim, emes, real Talmidei Chachamim like you? So that means at this point he was very embarrassed. And he said, Rav Moshe, only a handful. He said, so from all of the Jews in the world, and the Jews are HaKadosh Baruch Hu's favorite, you're from the elite of the elite of the elite. He said, you can't walk down like this, you have to walk proud. You are a prince of the Ribbono Shel Olam. You are the princesses of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You came to Eretz Yisroel under not the greatest circumstances. I'm sure that you all went through the air raids and the airstrikes and the sirens going off. Maybe you were scared that one night when there were 300 missiles, whatever, that were flying in the sky, and you were in your miklat, or you were in the what is it called, the mamad, yeah, you were in there, or you're staring out the window taking pictures. Send back to your. I don't know what you were doing that time. But when you know that Eretz Yisroel is still at war and still fighting, and we have enemies all around us that are not very happy with us, and the entire world seems not to be so happy with us either, and you're here in Eretz Yisroel, and you're doing it b'mesiras nefesh, and you're pushing yourself, and you're going, and you're growing, and you're davening, and you're steiging, you are from the elite of the elite of the elite of Klal Yisrael. You're the princesses in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's kingdom. That means you're the top. And if you take advantage of this year that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given you, and you try to squeeze out everything that you possibly can, and you find the good in your seminary. So far, Baruch Hashem, this year, not a single girl called to complain about their seminary. Not to me, anyway. Usually, Baruch Hashem, it's like about 2 days after they get to seminary, they're crying already. I made the wrong choice. I know I should have gone to that one. I don't know why I chose Nachas. I should have gone to BJJ. I don't know why. But you have to know that if that's the seminary that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent you to, that means this is the seminary where you are going to be able to grow in the best possible way. From those teachers, from those annoying roommates from the 5 towns, from the roommate from Lakewood that has more name brand clothing than you do from Los Angeles, then you should know that the Ribbono Shel Olam put you here because that's where you are going to grow and succeed the most this year in seminary. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu has put you in that situation and placed you there. As we learned together in 10th grade, Hakol b'yidei Shemayim chutz mi'yirah Hashem. Oh, you remember something, Baruch Hashem. Ah, feels so good. Does anybody remember the pshat that we said over there? Everything in your life is b'yidei Shemayim. That means your neshama, your body, your parents, your siblings, the house you grew up in. You grew up in Los Angeles, California, the car that you drive. It is yeshivish, it's not yeshivish. Now yeshivish is like an EV car that's brand new and you only have a 1 month lease on it and you get a new one every single month. That's yeshivish these days. And the people that you come in contact with, and the situations in life, and the challenges, and everything that's going to be, Hakol b'yidei Shema, it's all from Hashem. Chutz one thing, except for one thing. The way that you will choose to respond to every situation in your life, how you're going to utilize the opportunities that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given you, how you're going to grow through the challenges and grow in your mitzvahs and grow closer to Hashem, that's the only thing that is up to you. The great Sefer Chayvas Levavos writes in the SHIUR B'tachin an amazing idea. There's a mitzvah to be boteach b'Hashem, to trust in Hashem, to rely upon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we're supposed to rely upon Him for everything. Parnasa, you're probably davening for shidduchim already, for refuah, for health, for all these things, for children, for everything in life. You're boiteach b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I trust in Hashem. Hashem takes care of everything. There's one area in your life that you're not allowed to trust in Hashem for, and that's in Bechira. You cannot trust in Hashem that Hashem, you make the right choice for me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I got to the seminary. Rabbi Bernstein told me that's the seminary for me. Mrs. Walmark, she came and she said, yes, this is the place where you belong. Even Mrs. Shambi came along. She put her arm around me and said, you're going to be great there, Sheikh. Don't worry. And I got here and I'm miserable. I cannot stand them in the Hellis. I can't stand my roommates. I can't stand the food. I have to go to Sam's Bagel every single day. I can't stand it. Please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, help me. Says Hashem, help yourself. Don't come crying to me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and expect I'm going to save the day. I put you in that situation. I want you to use your Bechira and make the best out of it. You're in Eretz Yisroel for only 1 year right now. Mr. Hashem, you'll get married in the summer. That's Hashem. And by Elul, you'll be back in somewhere in Eretz Yisroel. There's Sorotskin if you're very yeshivish. Ramat Eshkol if you're not so yeshivish. No offense. Just a joke. It's just a joke. My brother-in-law lives in Kiryat Sefer for the last 70 years. He just moved to Ramat Eshkol. So it's okay. And all of the brachas that are coming in your life, it all depends on how much we utilize our bechira, our free will, to make the right choices and decisions in our life. One of the most amazing parts of being in Eretz Yisroel, I'm sure. You don't learn Gemara. There's any seminaries that learn Gemara yet? Yes? Yes? Okay. Okay, but you don't have like a base midrash and chavrusas.
No, we do.
Yeah? Okay. Okay, but L'maisa for the boys, the young men that are learning here in yeshiva, wherever they might be, so their ikar tafkid while they're here is steiging in learning. And a blot Gemara in Eretz Yisroel looks much different than it does in America. Even though it's the same words, but it's not the same words because in Eretz Yisroel everything is alive. For a young lady learning in seminary in Eretz Yisroel, I would imagine that your main ikar thing that you have is tefillah. The tefillahs of Eretz Yisroel are different altogether. It's the same siddur, it's the same words, but it's not the same at all. Because you're only one step away from where the Makam HaMikdash or the base of Mikdash to stand. You're in the streets that are absorbed and saturated with Kedusha. Every time that you daven in Eretz Yisroel, you're davening in a different planet altogether. What you could accomplish on a Tuesday afternoon in Eretz Yisrael, maybe in your dorm room, is possibly not what you could accomplish on the Elah in the Koilel of Los Angeles. Believe it or not. Don't tell the Kol I said that, please. Because the Kedusha and the radiance and the Koyach HaTfilah that a person has over here is something very special and awe-inspiring. One of the big Balei Tefillah of the previous generation was a Yid by the name of Shimshon Pincus. You read Ma'asim about him, he could daven for hours and hours and hours. He was once in the airport here in Eretz Yisrael, taking a flight to America, and they announced boarding. So you know how it works, everybody starts getting in line and they're ready to start boarding. And as he's about to get in line, he sees it's very crowded. He says, I'll stand outside the line for a little while, let everybody go, run in, and then I'll slip in towards the end. And while he's waiting for the line to get smaller, he looks over to the side and he sees there's an old altar Yid, looks like a Rosh Hashiva, standing in the corner davening Shema Esrei. He's davening Mincha before the flight takes off. But you know how we are in the airport when we daven? You're always nervous the plane's going to leave. You're nervous that people are watching you. I remember when I was a Bach, I was coming back for Bein Izmanim, and I was davening somewhere in an airport, and I wasn't embarrassed. I was davening in public view, and there's these two black women that are, from a distance, they're watching, apparently, and one says to the other, man, what's that boy doing over there? And the other one says, he's praying to the Lord. So this Yid is standing by the wall and he's davening and davening and davening, an unbelievable Shema Esrei, like he's standing in a base mitzvah on the Yom Noraim. And Rav Shimshon Pincus is watching, everybody's getting onto the plane, and this one Yid is standing there davening and davening. So he looks and he sees, it's none other than the Rav Dan Segal, who's one of the premier mashkichim of the world today. He's one of the last of the Bali Musar that's left in the world. At Tzaddik Yisod Olam. And he's watching and they're announcing, okay, 10 more minutes, boarding will be done, and then we're going to board, then the plane is going to take off. And Rav Dan Segal is just davening and davening. You know, like when you have to say a SHIUR in the bathroom, in the airport. So you walk out of the bathroom, like nobody should ever see that you, God forbid, talk to Hashem in an airport. How it is when you're davening there, it's so quickly, nobody should. He's davening like nothing. And Rav Shimshon says, you know what? I want to watch what's going to happen over here. Rav Segal obviously doesn't realize the plane is about to take off. And he's davening, I want to see what kind of siyata shema he has. He says, even if I miss the flight myself. So they announce that the end of boarding has come. Everybody must be on the plane now. And Rav Dan Segal at that moment, he takes 3 steps backwards and he slowly turns to the left, and then to the right, and then to the middle. So if Shimshon Pincus is about to tell him, come, Rosh Hashiva, let's go. No. Then he takes 3 steps forward, and he starts saying, Aleinu. Now, if you ever learned in the Shulchan Aruch what it means to say Aleinu, you're standing in front of the Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, the King of all kings. You're supposed to be standing there with awe and inspiration, and not move a limb when you are saying Aleinu. Not like us that are running out of the room and moving all around and looking around. You're supposed to be like this. And so sure enough, in the airport, when the plane is already boarded, Rav Dan Segal is standing there and he's davening Aleinu like it says in the Shulchan Aruch. At the end, Rav Shimshon Pincus walks over to him and he says, Rebbe, they already announced the final boarding. Let's see if we can get on. So he grabs Rav Dan Segal by the arm and they walk in. And the stewardess says, go, quick, go. And they get on, they walk inside the plane, and the doors close right behind them. Wow, they made it. What happened? After they decided to close the doors of the plane, there was a chayfetz chashud. An unnamed bag was lying in the plane, which they thought maybe was a bomb threat. And it took them 15 minutes to clear the plane of the bag, which was exactly the 15 minutes that Rav Dan Segal was continued davening Shemona Esrei and Aleinu. And as they walked on, the bag was taken off, the doors closed, everything was good. They made it to the flight. They were sitting in different seats, but Rav Shimshon was very bothered. And he was wondering, how could it be that a person is flying from Eretz Yisroel to America? It's a very expensive ticket. There's a lot riding on the line. I'm sure he's going for very good things. How could it be that the mashgiach did not take it seriously to make sure that he made the flight, and he was relying on a miracle that somehow the plane is still going to be there? So he came to Rav Dan Segal, and he said, Rabbi, I need to ask you a question. He said, of course you have to daven in an airport. Of course you have to daven before you go on the flight. Of course I understand. But you have to daven so long in the airport? You have to daven like there's no plane that's getting bored and going to take off? You could have missed the flight. And if you would have missed the flight, you had to buy a new ticket. That's very expensive. That's expensive money for you, Rav Segal. How could you do such a thing? So he said, Rav Dan Segal turned to him with a big smile on his face, and he says, what could I do? I love davening so much. What could I do? And Rav Shimshon Pinkus said he understood from there that if you love davening, there's nothing else that is going to get in the way. One of the biggest chizuks that a person can get while they're here in Eretz Yisroel is take advantage of the davening. You know, all the years that I'm in Beis Yaakov, don't worry, I'm not going to say your name out loud. All of the years that I'm in Beis Yaakov, I always give over advice to the young ladies that if you want to be mechazik in your davening, if you want to have more kavanah in your Shemona Esrei, so then if you recall, for the next 19 years of your life, you should spend 1 year per bracha, or one bracha per year, and only work on that bracha until you got it down clear, and then go to the next one, and the next one. It'll take you 19 years. But imagine what your Shemona Esrei is going to look like in 19 years. You'll know the meaning simply of every single bracha. You'll be connected to every single bracha. You have tremendous, tremendous kavanas. In all the years I'm teaching in Beis Yaakov, there's only 2 girls that ever told me that, maybe there's more, that ever told me that they did it, and they both come from this class. I'm not going to say their names because I don't want to embarrass them. But when you see one of your friends who's davening along the Shemona Esrei with kavanah in their heart, you'll know that that's the one. Now what does that mean? That means that the way in which a person can connect to their davening, especially here in Eretz Yisrael, is not like anything else. Don't throw away a mincha. In Beis Yaakov, throw away minchas. I don't know. Maybe in LA, it's Shabbos, you wake up 3 o'clock in the afternoon, whoops, it's too late to daven shachris, what can you do? But over here in Eretz Yisrael, where every moment is filled with opportunity, every moment is filled with the schusim that we have, every moment is another way that we can make a connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please don't throw away your tefillos. Now, if a person lives with this bechira, they live with these choices that they're making, and they recognize that in Eretz Yisrael, when you're living near where the Beis HaBechir was, it's easier to make the right choice. That means the amount of mitzvahs, the amount of Torah, the amount of tefillah, the amount of ruchnias, the amount of dveikis and Hashem that a person here will be able to acquire and achieve is above and beyond anything, anywhere else that you'll ever have. Until you come back and you're married and you're living in this holy land. So the goal over the next 6 months, you have to keep in mind also, we're coming to Tu B'Shvat, yeah? This is going to be Shabbos Mevarchim. That means in about 2.5 weeks it'll be Tu B'Shvat. The chiddush of a tree is that you have a seed that's this big, you plant it into the ground, and suddenly from that seed, as you water it and you take care of it and the elements are all good, the sun is coming at the right time, it's not too cold, it's not too hot, this one little tiny seed, it grows into a very tall, large tree. If it's a fruit tree, that means it's going to give off apples. or oranges or any of the other fruits that you like. Now, what was in the seed? Was the apple in the seed? Was a 400-foot redwood tree, was it in the seed? Was an orange in the seed? Were flowers in the seed? What was in the seed? It's just a little tiny seed. Where is there an apple in that seed? That means that inside the seed is everything that that seed needs to be able to grow, to become the tree that it is supposed to become. It's engineered an apple tree for an apple, a redwood tree for a redwood, a banana tree for a banana, and a flowers for a bush of flowers for flowers. It's all within that. Just has to make sure that it gets the water, it gets the nutrients, it gets the sun, it gets everything that it needs. Every single person has a seed inside of them. And that's called your neshama. And your neshama has everything that it needs to achieve what it is supposed to achieve. Some of you will be the wives of Kolo Yungalite. Some of you will be the wives of doctors. Some of you will be the one that's doing all the chesed projects in your particular town. Some of you can open up a gemach for whatever it's going to be, baby diapers and blankets and other things. Some of you are going to marry a gevir that's going to end up giving so much money to tzedakah and helping Klal Yisrael. Everybody has a different purpose in this world. But everybody has the exact neshama that they're supposed to have. And as long as you water it with Torah and Tefillah, as long as the nutrients are all the right way, and the sun is coming down, and you're in the right environment, and you're around the right people, doing the right things, then certainly everybody's neshama is going to grow, and to grow, and to grow in ways that you never could have imagined before. In the very end of Mesilas Yesharim, perhaps we'll end with this. The Ramchal spends an entire sefer speaking about the loftiest levels that a person can reach until they get to the end. Ruach HaKodesh, Yiras Chet, the total fear of sin. You'll never sin another day in your life. And when you get to that place at the end, you begin to think, this sefer was only written for the biggest tzaddikim in the entire world. It's not talking to me. I'm a regular person. I grew up in the streets of Los Angeles. I cried when they shut down Coffee Bean, Chalav Yisrael. You know, that year that it shut down, you guys were maybe too small to remember, there was a girl in my class at the time, and she said, I feel like my best friend just died. So you begin to think to yourself, what does Hashem want from me? I'm going to be on these high, lofty levels that he's talking about in the Mesilas Yesharim. I'm going to reach the height of Yiras Chet, of Ruach HaKodesh. All my actions will be fine in the eyes of Hashem. How's that going to be? Says the Ramchal in the end, fascinating words. You should know that every single person in this world can be Mekadesh Shem Shemayim only the way that you could be Mekadesh Shem Shemayim. And that means that there never was a person like you who ever existed in the world before. There's no one in the world right now like you, and there never, ever will be someone like you in the world. You are the only you that ever existed and will exist. Which means, says the Ramchal, the Rosh Hashiva is going to be Mekadesh Shem Shemayim, and he'll reveal the Shechina in his way. But the plumber will reveal the Shechina in his way as well. The Rebbetzin Kanievsky, she will reveal the Shechina and have her Devekis and Hashem in her way. And the wife of the attorney living somewhere in America will be Megala, will reveal the Shechina in only the way that she could reveal the Shechina. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu entrusted each and every one of us with everything that we need to become the best we that we can. And the only way it's going to happen is with your bechira, if you understand who you are, and you understand what you have inside of you, and you understand the opportunities and the potential that HaKadosh Baruch has filled you up with, and everything going on this year in front of you in Eretz Yisroel, what you could accomplish, then you will use your bechira, your free will, and you will make decisions that will set the direction that you're going to be on, not just now, but literally for the rest of your life. I want to leave you off with one last Maisa. This story must go back, I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago. The girls came back from Seminary to Los Angeles, and as most girls do appreciate when they come back, they like to get Chizuk on coming back. You just spent the whole year in Yerushalayim, you're Kodesh, you were growing, you have the Dveikis and Hashem, the davening, the Shabbos, everything was different. You come back to America and everything didn't really change since you left. You changed, America did not change. Maybe it just got worse. And so they want Chizuk. So they have a wonderful program, SHIUR that go on, and I once came to give one of these shiurim, there maybe like 40, 50 girls came to that SHIUR. And I'm panning around the room throughout the night, seeing all the girls that came back from seminary that year. And there's one girl who's sitting in the room, I cannot place her. I don't always, to my fault or whatever, I don't always remember every single name of every single girl. But usually a face I could remember, and I cannot remember who this girl is. And it keeps bothering me in the middle of the SHIUR. I keep looking. So, okay, sometimes they bring girls in from Beis Sivia. I said, maybe she's a Beis Sivia girl, I don't know. And I'm going through the night, and suddenly towards the end of the SHIUR, it dawns on me who she is. And I do a double. No, it can't be. That cannot be her. And I keep giving the SHIUR, and then I realize it's her. How could that be? And after the SHIUR, everybody's in. Hi, how are you? Good year? Yeah, I had an amazing year. I called the girl's father after the SHIUR. And she's a good girl. Wonderful family. She was fine. She didn't really connect so much in high school. And she walked into the SHIUR, she looked like a princess, with like this look on her face of like royalty, of regality, of ruchnius, of seriousness, but like a menuchas and nefesh, and a happiness like I never saw before. And I called her father, who was a good friend of mine, afterwards. I said, what happened to your daughter this year in seminary? He said, yeah. I told him, I'm looking in the room. I could not recognize her. I said, she changed so much in Eretz Yisroel. What happened? He said she had a menahelis who took a very deep interest in her. And she herself took a very deep interest in the menahelis. And she grew this year by leaps and bounds. There are girls that will go through a year in seminary. They will come back after the year. You will be radiating the Kedusha of Eretz Yisroel. You're davening, you're learning, your midas, everything is going to be like in a different place. Your whole outlook on life is going to be different. You're going to come back and see all the things that you did when you were a silly little girl in Beis Yaakov. You say, I was so silly, how could I have done that? It's such a waste of my time. And you're going to be dreaming of a future, of a house that's going to be filled with this Kedusha. There are other girls that will come back from seminary. You won't even be able to tell that they spent the last year in Eretz Yisroel. And that's really sad. You go to a place that changes a person just from being here, and you come back unaffected by the Kedusha of Eretz Yisroel. You have 6 months left. 6 months to give it your all. 6 months to appreciate the gift. Moshe Rabbeinu himself never put his feet on the soil of Eretz Yisrael. The Vilna Gaon tried, he could not get here. The Chavetz Chaim tried, he could not get here. How many Rebbetzins in America wanted to spend their life? They never made it here, maybe more than a day or two or a week or three, and then they had to go back, or they never made it altogether. And you have a Zchus one whole year. If you appreciate HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you appreciate what Hashem has done for you, like the Ramchal says over there, Mesilas Yesharim, we can never, ever pay back Hashem for all the good that He does. He gives us life. He gives us everything. He takes care of all of our needs. And there's nothing that we could ever give Him that's going to be a replacement or give back to what He's done. Lefachos, at least, says the Ramchal, be mekayim mitzvaysav, do His mitzvahs, and give thanks and gratitude to Hashem. If you do your best this year, that's the biggest gratitude that you can give to Hashem. Because Hashem sees you appreciate the gift that I've given you. At least do it for your parents. They took out their 4th mortgage on their house to be able to pay for seminary. Your father took on another tutoring job. Your mother is not getting her latte every single day of the week right now because she has to pay the bills to get you to pay your seminary. So even if not for yourself and not for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, at least your parents were moist nefesh to have you here for this year. You're not parents yet, but you don't know what it's like not to have your kids in the house. When they're so far away and you turn on the, Yeshiva World, which is going to tell you all the wonderful news of the world and show you all the danger and peril that they're in. But as long as you're growing, as long as you're taking advantage, as long as you're moving in the right direction, every parent has only nachas. May your efforts and your growth this year, you'll come back, now it's 6 months, I could still recognize you. But I hope in Eretz Hashem, by the time we have one of those Chizuk shiurim in Los Angeles, it'll be like a room full of girls that I just can't recognize. Why? Because you took advantage of your year in Eretz Yisroel to grow in ways you'll never ever have back in your life. You'll never have this time. You're single, you're on your own, you're independent, you probably have daddy's credit card in your pocket as well, so that it helps you when you get hungry because the food is no good. So you got it all. All you have to do is use your bechira, make the right choices, and become that person that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said there never was, there never is, and there never will be anybody in the world like you. You'll be Mekadosh Shem Shemayim the way that only you possibly can. And the way you do that is take advantage of the year, grow in ways that you never have before, and in Yetz Hashem you only see tremendous brachas as a result of that. You think it's a joke, but I'm sure that Mrs. Chain has really everybody's shidduch in their mind of who it's going to be. We'll meet you at the airport in LAX, Be'ez Hashem. We'll make many, many chuppahs all in one day. In the Zchus of your growing, in the Zchus of your learning, in the Zchus of you being who you're supposed to be, Be'ez Hashem, should be a nachas ruach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it should be a foundation that you'll be able to stand strong on for the rest of your lives, Be'ez Hashem.